What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. In this one, it's transfer tips for game week 34. So I'm going to go through some of the popular players people are taking out of their squads and the ones they're putting in and giving my opinion on whether they are good moves or not. And for this video, I'm focusing on non-free hitters. So players that you're taking out or putting in for the next kind of 4 or 5 game weeks, not for game week 34 only. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like, hit that subscribe button. Let's get into it. So let's start with Bukayo Saka. Lots of hype around buying him recently, but for game week 34, he's being sold. I know some of the transfers out will be free hitters, but I think non-free hitters are probably getting rid of him as well. Let me say, first of all, if you captain him for game week 33, I think you can consider yourself a little bit unlucky because you took the risk on the minutes he started. He was the only Arsenal player in that starting 11 not to walk away with a return. And he was really good, especially in that first half. So you're very unlucky. Let's see what happens against Palace. If you do have him in your team and you're thinking of selling, I really don't mind it. And it's not the fact that he's so expensive, but you've got a blank this week, of course. Game week 35 just seems prime for rotation. I know he started against Ipswich, but after that is Palace, and it was a Wednesday-Sunday turnaround for the Ipswich game. The Bournemouth game seems prime for rotation. It's right between the two semi-finals against PSG, and then 36 is Liverpool away. So I don't think you have to sell him, but just be mindful that 36 is difficult, although by that point Liverpool might have won the league, they may well be rotating, and 35 he might not start. So you could have blank benching Liverpool away. Newcastle at home 37, Southampton away in 38 is not bad, but if it works for your team to remove Saka, I think it's okay to do that. So unsurprisingly, Mbeumo is the midfielder with the most transfers in ahead of game week 34 off the back of an 18-pointer in game week 33. I couldn't believe it because there was a question, I think, on game week preview last week that said, should I go for Saka if the plan is to sell Saka in 35 for Mbeumo, or should I just get him now and save a transfer? And I haven't gone back and watched what I said, but I think it was something along the lines of, I completely understand trying to save the transfer and it could absolutely work. I think I said Mbeumo is capable of double digits against Brighton, but I couldn't forgive myself for not buying Saka if he started both games. And to be fair, he did start the Ipswich game, but it's a massive difference in points. Like, the swing there is just incredible. Anyway, getting back to game week 34, if you're not on free hit, Mbeumo is probably one of the most important transfers this week. It just makes so much sense. The guy is absolutely nailed on. We know all this. He always gets 90. He's on penalties, 6.4 points per match this season. He has probably overperformed a little bit, but he's still a solid option going forward. Forest away in 34 is not an amazing fixture, and I think a lot of people on free hit will dodge him. But if you're not on free hit, he's probably going to be someone you need to transfer in sooner rather than later anyway, so you might as well just do it this week. Get him for the Forest away game, then it's United at home in 35, Ipswich away in 36, Fulham at home in 37, Wolves away in 38. Once he's in your team, unless he gets injured, he's not leaving for the rest of the season. He's a great transfer in this week. Just get it done. And pretty much the same thing can be said for Yoane Wissa, a 6.5 million forward, also pretty popular this week. 11 points against Brighton in 33. The week before against Arsenal is a 9-pointer. He's just a really good transfer in if you need a new forward. Yes, Forest away is not a great fixture, like I've just said for Mbeumo, and you can definitely argue that Cunha is better for 34. But after that, I really like the fixtures that Brentford have got. The other thing I really like about Wissa is there's no fluke with the amount of goals he's had so far. 15 goals without penalties, but he's putting up 0.54 XG per 90. That is excellent. And his goals per 90 is 0.54. So there's not massive overperformance here. He's just a guy that gets a lot of chances, and he's a decent enough finisher as well. So if you're considering Wissa and you're not sure about it, there's really no need to hesitate unless you want to go and get someone like Cunha instead, who we're about to speak about. But for 6.5 million and below, it's hard to beat Wissa. And again, once he's in your team, it's probably that he's going to be in there for the rest of the season. That's why, although it's Forest away this week, Brentford attackers in Mbeumo and Wissa are such good transfers in because you just don't need to worry about them again for the rest of the season. There's no blanks that can happen. That does mean no doubles either. But in 36, it's Ipswich away. The minutes are great. They're not going to come out of the team. Brentford are going to keep playing full strength. Just great. So if you've got a bit more money, I've just mentioned him. Matheus Cunha is 6.8 million. Absolute bonus magnet. Whenever he gets an attack and return, the bonus is not far behind. On penalties as well. And as far as we know, absolutely nailed on. Now, when he came back from suspension, he didn't get straight back into the Wolves team. the manager actually said they're going to go with the same 11. Now, he did start in game week 33, but Bellegarde, who had been starting before that, during the suspension for Cunha, was injured. So that's why Cunha got back into the team potentially. Does that mean that in the next game, if Bellegarde's back, that Cunha will drop out? I don't think so. There is maybe a tiny doubt there, like 1 or 2%, but I suspect now Cunha's back in the team that he will continue playing. So I would see him as a pretty nailed player moving forward who should continue to have pretty decent minutes. The upside for him over Wissa is the Leicester fixture in 34. It's much better than Forest away. After that, I would say that Brentford's fixtures are a little bit better because Cunha's got Man City away in 35, Brighton at home in 36, Palace away 37, Brentford at home in 38. Not a terrible run of fixtures, but straight after Leicester, it's Man City. So actually, over the next 2 game weeks, you could argue that Wissa is just as good. Wissa has double the goal threat from open play, but Cunha's got the penalties, and like I said, he's a bonus magnet. It's really close between the two. Let me just put it this way to try and help out. On free hit this week, absolutely Cunha is miles ahead of Wissa. But if I need to buy a new forward in 35, I'd probably go for the Brentford man. So it all comes down to how much stock you put in the Leicester game. If you're going to end up using 2 transfers on forward soon, then obviously buy Cunha first, then Wissa. If I had to guess from now until the end of the season, I think Wissa is slightly better, but it doesn't make much sense bringing him in when you can get Leicester. So probably this week I'd go Cunha, but I would not be surprised if 35 onwards, Wissa beats him. So there's a lot of people buying Fulham players this week, even those not on free hit. And a big reason for that is because they play Southampton away in game week 34. After that, it's Villa away, Everton at home, Brentford away, and Man City at home. The 3 main players that people are looking at are Iwobi, Sessegnon, and Robinson. With Iwobi, I like the price at 5.5 million, but the underlying numbers are nothing to get too excited about. He is playing Southampton, so attacking potential is definitely there. But 0.13 expected goals per 90, that's not a massive amount of goal threat from open play. It's not like he's on penalties or anything either. And expected assist 0.22. So it's okay numbers for a 5.5 million attacker, but he's no one to get excited about. Also, when we spoke about Iwobi earlier on in the season, part of the appeal was that he plays every game and close to 90 minutes all the time. That hasn't necessarily been the case recently. And I don't know if I've missed something, but from what I went back and had a look at, he's not been injured or anything like that or carrying a knock. So the last 3 games, 83, 90, 81, not bad at all. He had that goal and assist against Liverpool, goal against Chelsea in 33 as well. But against Arsenal in game week 30, it was 23 minutes. Before that, Spurs 62, 88 against Brighton, 23 against Wolves. There is just the odd game that he's missed. Now, I don't necessarily expect that to be a common occurrence. He might, have I said that right? A common thing to happen, let me put it that way. He may well start all 5 of the remaining games, but he's not maybe as nailed on as we came to expect earlier on in the season. I think once you're past Southampton, it's not going to be that interesting having Iwobi in your team. So personally, I'd probably rather go somewhere else. Like even like a Cliver at Bournemouth on penalties for 6 million, if you can afford it, I'd maybe rather go there. And Man United at home is not a bad fixture this week either. In terms of the defenders, Sessegnon has massive appeal because he's 4.1 million playing right wing. So you've got an out of position defender. Not only that, but he's also super cheap. Again, I'm not sure I would go there unless I was on free hit because the Southampton game really appeals, but I don't know how secure his minutes are because he's not a natural right winger. And he's not going to go and play left back because we know Robinson's actually absolutely nailed on for that position. So he's playing really well, but Adama Traore's fit now. Harry Wilson's back as well. Will he come back into the team soon? Possibly. So you might get the Southampton game, but after that, who knows what might happen. And it might be that at 4.1 million, you can just store him on the bench. It's not like he's using a massive amount of your budget. But I just think at this stage of the season, if you're looking to bring someone in that you want to use for other game weeks, you need to be a bit more sure about the minutes. And I don't know if they're there for Sessegnon. He might be okay for Southampton after that. I wouldn't be putting too much money on continued starts. He's playing well, but that doesn't mean that Harry Wilson or someone like that won't come in instead. Robinson absolutely nailed at 4.8 million. Fairly attacking, lots of assists already. Southampton game good. Everton at home in 36 also decent. I will say outside of that, I don't see many clean sheets. So I guess you'll have to have a look at your own team and decide how often you need to play this Fulham defender, because Villa away, Brentford away and City at home are not great. But if you can afford it, I would probably go for the safety of Robinson. Different conversation if you're on free hit. You can take the risk because it's 1 week only. But I don't see me coming back to game week 35 and looking to buy Sessegnon. I think it's for 1 week only. Long term, I would just probably go Robinson if you've got the money. So now we're past the 2 double game weeks. Lots of people are looking to take out their Crystal Palace attackers. It's a blanking game week 34. That's followed by Forest at home 35, Spurs away 36, Wolves at home in 37, then Liverpool away on the final day of the season, which is obviously a bit tougher. For the most part, obviously, if you've not got a free hit this week, you're going to have to sell some players that are blanking. And I think if you want to sell Mateta for like a Wissa or a Cunha or someone like that, absolutely reasonable. Same if you want to sell Eze or Sarr. Completely get it if it works for your team. I do think the Palace players are not that bad after the blank, though. Forest at home, Spurs away, Wolves at home. 3 pretty decent fixtures. Certainly not terrible. And also, by the time you've got past 34, the FA Cup semi-finals will have been played. So either Palace have lost to Villa in the FA Cup, in which case there's nothing to rotate for. It's just all steam ahead in the Premier League. So these 3 players should continue to start. And they'll have those 3 fixtures, Forest, Spurs, Wolves, before Liverpool away, when you probably would want to sell or bench them, even if Liverpool have got the League one, which they will have by game week 38. Or Palace have beaten Villa in the FA Cup, and therefore there might be a double game week potentially for Palace. Not a guarantee, but potentially, which would be Forest at home 35, then a double in 36 of Spurs away and Wolves at home. So I think there is reason to want to keep Palace players in one way or another. Not all of them, but if you want to keep 1 or 2 and you can get through 34 with the blanks, I think that would be okay to do. And I know a lot of people are going to talk about Palace's form and stuff like that, but I can't help but think fixtures might matter. So much talk about their great away form, and all of a sudden they play City away, Newcastle away, and they get absolutely smashed. They've still got difficult away games to come. Arsenal away in 33, which has obviously been and gone for FPL, but that will get played, I think, on Wednesday. And they've still got Liverpool away. So they've had some tough games left till the end of the season. And then the Bournemouth game, they were down to 10 men for a lot of that game. So I'm not willing to completely give up on Palace. They'll probably lose to Arsenal as well, in which case they'll have 3 losses and 1 draw in the last 4 games. But then they get to play Forest at home, Spurs away, Wolves at home. I think after those 3 fixtures, I'm not saying they'll smash all 3 of those teams like 3-4-0, but I think their form will start to look a lot better again because they would have had easier fixtures than they've just played. So absolutely not saying you have to keep Palace players, but you've either got nailed on players for 3 fixtures or a potential double where they should be nailed until they get to that FA Cup final if they beat Villa. So I think Sarr's still great value at 5.8, more so than Eze. Eze is still a nice differential compared to, you know, the players that engaged managers have got in their teams right now. Mateta I'm less sure about because he keeps getting subbed early, although his minutes were past 70 last game, but generally he keeps getting subbed, and there are a lot of good forwards. Midfielders at that kind of price that Eze and Sarr are, not so much. Like Kluivert's fine, etc. Iwobi I've just spoken about. So Mateta I'd be more likely to get rid of. But if you've got like Mateta and Sarr, I think keeping a hold of Sarr is fine. 5.8 million is still good value. So I spoke about Cunha earlier. Another Wolves player that's quite popular this week is Aït-Nouri at 4.9 million. Absolutely nailed on. Wolves' most attacking defender. Just over 60,000 transfers in this week. Some of them will obviously be free hitters as well. And it's Leicester at home in game week 34. It's not ideal that Man City away is in 35, but I think for most people, a defender under 5 million is benchable. So you could bench him for that game. He then comes back to Brighton at home, Palace away, Brentford at home. So if, and obviously this is only an if at this point, Palace beat Villa in the FA Cup semi-final and their game gets postponed in 37, that game is against Wolves. So potentially, and I'm not sure the odds of this are that high, but it could happen, Leicester at home 34, bench against City in 35, and then you could have Brighton at home, Palace away in 36, then the blank in 37, where you'd probably look to get rid of some of your Wolves players. So I think if I was looking between Aït-Nouri and Robinson, or Aït-Nouri and Sessegnon, I think I would go for the Wolves defender, but I will say the Fulham defence is stronger. So I think in a similar fixture, Fulham probably slightly more likely to get the clean sheet. But I think overall, I actually prefer Aït-Nouri, because when you look at Fulham's fixtures, Southampton away, great, but Leicester at home is just as good, if not slightly better. Leicester are really struggling to score at the moment. And yes, you've got the Everton at home game for Fulham, but the only other home game is the last day of the season, which is City at home, which is not great. The other two are Villa and Brentford away. At least with Aït-Nouri, you've got a home game against Brighton, a home game against Brentford. Not easy, right? Brighton are a good attacking team. We know Brentford are. I've spoken about both Mbeumo and Wissa in this. But if you get that potential double, that's worth quite a bit, even if you then have to sell him afterwards in 37. So I think if I was going for a cheap defender, I'd probably go Aït-Nouri this week. Let me know what you think about the players I've spoken about in this video. Who are you bringing in and taking out if you're not on free hit? If you've enjoyed it, make sure to give it a like, hit that subscribe button. I'll catch you again tomorrow for another video.